John Dutton's death in Season 5 has stirred up more than just grief. It has sparked a wild ride for Jamie Dutton. Once the family's black sheep, he's now standing at a crossroads of redemption and ruin. Can he reclaim his place, or is it too late? With that being said, let's see if Jamie can really pull off a redemption arc in the Season 5 finale. Season 5, Episode 11, Dutton drama hits new heights. The episode, titled 353, marks a huge turning point for the Dutton clan, especially for Jamie Dutton. His entire storyline has been a roller coaster of betrayal, bitterness, and, let's be real, a ton of personal drama. But with John Dutton's death shaking up the entire family dynamic, everything is about to get a whole lot messier. Once the Dutton family's black sheep, Jamie's relationship with his adoptive father, John, was anything but easy. The guy spent years stewing over the fact that he wasn't a biological Dutton and dealing with his own political aspirations, all while betraying the family left and right. Not exactly father-son goals. But now, with John's death throwing the Duttons into chaos, Jamie is getting dragged back into the mess he helped create. And surprise, it's not entirely by his choice. You see, the investigation into John's death is forcing Jamie to stare down his past mistakes and whether he can claw his way back into the Dutton fold. But just when you think he's the mastermind behind it all, the truth about John's death comes crashing in, and suddenly, Jamie's role in this family drama isn't as clear-cut as it seems. Jamie isn't the real villain of Season 5. The premiere kicks off with a shocking revelation. John's Dutton death is staged as a suicide. This leads to pure and utter chaos, because the Dutton family is thrown into disarray, and things are about to get very complicated. Beth Dutton, ever the skeptic, walks into the governor's mansion and immediately senses that something doesn't add up. The crime scene is tense, but she's not buying the whole suicide narrative. As the family begins to mourn, Casey and Beth both struggle to process the unexpected loss of their father. But Beth's instincts prove right. John's death wasn't self-inflicted. It was orchestrated, and that's where the mystery starts to unfold. Now, while Jamie's complicated relationship with John makes him an obvious suspect, the premiere complicates things a bit. In a heartbreaking moment, Montana's Attorney General, aka Jamie, delivers the news of John's death to the public, and you can see the genuine grief on his face. His faltering demeanor suggests that maybe, just maybe, Jamie isn't the villain we thought he was. Now, Jamie Dutton's actions in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 1 definitely raised some suspicion. After all, attempting to impeach his own father as governor is no small move. However, his reaction to John's death in the premiere adds complexity to the situation. While Jamie might not be directly responsible for his father's death, his political maneuvering and strained relationship with John seems to have set the stage for what followed. The episode suggests that Jamie could have unwittingly become a pawn in a larger conspiracy against John Dutton. Sarah is the real villain of Yellowstone Season 5. When Yellowstone Season 5 introduced Sarah Atwood, played by Dawn Olivieri, it was clear that the Dutton family was about to face a whole new kind of threat. As a skilled litigator and the perfect Trojan horse for market equities, Sarah brought a sharper, more calculated edge to the show's ongoing power struggles. Gone were the days of just legal wrangling and corporate tactics. Sarah was here to dismantle the Duttons from within. Her most chilling move came midway through the season when she secretly met with a shadowy organization known for its work in orchestrating assassinations. The meeting was tense, with Sarah stripping off all her jewelry, shoes, and accessories to make sure nothing could be used against her. It was a clear sign that she wasn't just there for a casual conversation. This was serious business. The stakes? Nothing less than John Dutton, the governor of Montana, who stood as the final barrier to market equity's grand expansion plans. Flashbacks to 6 weeks earlier showed just how carefully Sarah had planned each step of her dangerous game. She wasn't rushing into anything. Every move was deliberate, and her resolve to take down John Dutton made it clear that she would stop at nothing to get what she wanted. If Sarah Atwood's plan for taking down the Duttons wasn't already ruthless enough, she had a secret weapon up her sleeve: Jamie. Jamie's insecurities and long-standing issues with his father made him an easy target for Sarah, who wasted no time exploiting his desire for recognition and his simmering resentment towards John. Sarah didn't just play on Jamie's weaknesses, she seduced him, both politically and personally. Weaving a web of promises, she convinced Jamie that together they could overthrow his father father and place him in the governor's seat. She fed Jamie's hunger for power and revenge, playing on his desperate need for autonomy and the recognition he felt he deserved but never received from John. Under Sarah's influence, Jamie began to see the removal of his father not as an option, but as a necessity, one he was willing to carry out by any means necessary. Sarah Atwood's manipulation of Jamie Dutton wasn't just about personal vendettas, it was about the high stakes of Market Equity's financial future. With John Dutton cutting funding for key projects like the airport, Sarah's role in neutralizing the Duttons became crucial. With billions of dollars on the line, Market Equities wasn't content with just playing the corporate game. They wanted John out, and Sarah was their secret weapon to escalate things from legal maneuvers to all-out life or death stakes. Her relationship with Jamie wasn't just a romantic entanglement, it was a strategic play that tore apart the Dutton family's unity. By turning Jamie into a willing accomplice, Sarah made the family more vulnerable to outside threats, creating a rift that ran deep and widened the divide between father and son. But it wasn't just Jamie who became a pawn in Sarah's game. She found herself at odds with Beth Dutton. If there's one thing you don't do on Yellowstone, it's mess with Beth. The power struggle between Sarah and Beth only ramped up the tension as the two women clashed in an epic battle of wills. Sarah's cool, calculated corporate demeanor was a stark contrast to Beth's fiery, chaotic approach, one built on a deep loyalty to her family and an unrelenting desire to protect them. The two were like oil and water, each using every weapon in their arsenal to outmaneuver the other. This clash wasn't just personal. It symbolized the broader war between the Duttons and Market Equities. One side is playing with emotion, the other with cold, hard strategy. However, just when it felt like the plan to overthrow the Duttons was nearing completion, something unexpected happened. Sarah's death in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11 means Jamie is truly alone. In Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11, Taylor Sheridan delivers a gut-wrenching surprise that leaves fans reeling, one that shakes the Dutton family's already fragile world even further. While the shocking death of John Dutton might have seemed like the biggest game-changer, the loss of Sarah Atwood takes things to a whole new emotional level, especially with the unexpected bond she had formed with Jamie. Jamie and Sarah's relationship had always been a complicated one, full of tension and power plays. But over time, Sarah became one of the few people Jamie could turn to for support. She wasn't just another manipulative ally, she had evolved into a real confidant. Sarah, despite her own troubled past and the fractured nature of her connection with Jamie, offered him something rare, genuine care and understanding, something Jamie had been desperately seeking in his strained relationship with the Duttons. For Jamie, Sarah represented more than just a political ally. She was a lifeline, a person who saw him for who he truly was, beyond the role he played in his father's shadow. However, in Season 5, Episode 11, Jamie Dutton's world is torn apart in a way that no one could have predicted. His tumultuous relationship with Sarah Atwood reaches its boiling point when an argument escalates into a physical confrontation. The tension between them had been building for some time, but this explosive moment finally pushed Sarah to storm out of Jamie's house. In the heat of the moment, it seemed like all hope for their complicated connection was lost until Jamie, desperate for resolution, reached out to reconcile. For a fleeting moment, it appeared they might clear the air, a brief but tender patch on the cracks in their relationship. But just as things seemed to calm, tragedy struck. Unbeknownst to them, Sarah's life had already been marked for death. One night, after leaving Jamie's house, she was waiting at a stop sign when a lost couple stopped to ask her for directions. Before Sarah could even register what was happening, the couple opened fire, unaliving her, and then quickly fled the scene. The worst part was that she was on the phone with Jamie when it happened. The loss was a gut punch for Jamie, who had already been navigating a sea of uncertainty and isolation. Throughout his life, his relationship with his father, John Dutton, had always been strained, no matter how hard Jamie tried to gain his approval. Despite his political ambitions and the efforts he put into carving out a space for himself within the family, John's approval remained just beyond his reach. But Sarah, she had become Jamie's constant, the one person who truly had his back, offering him support both professionally and personally. Her sudden, violent death ripped that stability away from Jamie, leaving him not only emotionally shattered, utterly alone. It pushed him further into a dark, uncertain future where his place in the world felt more unclear than ever. Now, couple that with the potential ramifications of being the last person to talk to Sarah before she is murdered, and he may not have any chance but to finally make things right. He could help his siblings secure the ranch. The Duttons may know how to protect their ranch, but they can't seem to protect themselves from each other. Nowhere is this more evident than in the deeply fractured relationship between Jamie and Beth, a sibling rivalry that takes center stage in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2. Beth's animosity toward Jamie is rooted in years of resentment and betrayal. For her, it's not just about his role in their father John's impeachment. It's about the countless ways he's undermined the family's legacy, and by extension, her trust. Jamie wasn't just raised as her brother. He was someone she expected to stand with the Duttons. Instead, he chose alliances that sought to dismantle everything their family worked for, and Beth sees this as the ultimate personal betrayal. Beth isn't one to mince words, and her anger towards Jamie is unrelenting. Every conversation between them brims with tension, her disdain cutting through like a knife. She holds nothing back, and Jamie, despite his efforts, seems incapable of mending the damage. His apologies feel half-hearted, his actions a constant reminder of past mistakes. The feud between Beth and Jamie has always gone beyond politics or land disputes. It's a deeply personal struggle that cuts to the heart of their family. Now, Beth Dutton might be the loudest voice in Jamie's life, calling out his betrayals, but she's far from the only one giving him the cold shoulder. Jamie's relationship with Casey, while not as explosive, is just as strained. Only this time, the silence cuts just as deep as Beth's scorn. Casey, ever the stoic and reserved Dutton sibling, has tried to stay above the fray when it comes to the family's internal squabbles, but Jamie's actions haven't exactly made that easy. From his betrayal of John to his questionable alliances, Jamie has tested Casey's trust again and again. And while Casey is known for being the peacemaker, even he can't ignore the cracks Jamie has caused in the foundation of the Dutton legacy. Of course, Beth doesn't let Casey forget a thing. She's quick to remind him of every misstep Jamie's taken, making sure that any shred of trust Casey might still hold for their brother is met with doubt. For Casey, this puts him in an impossible position, torn between his instinct to hold the family together and the growing realization that Jamie's choices have caused irreparable damage. This creates a daunting challenge for Jamie. Winning back Beth is a tall order, but gaining Casey's trust might be even harder. You see, Casey's loyalty to the family runs deep, and he needs more than words to believe Jamie's on the right side of things. If Jamie hopes to repair these fractured relationships, he'll have to prove he's not just out for redemption, but that he's willing to fight for the family and the land that defines them all. Jamie Dutton may have burned countless bridges with his family, but his role as Montana's Attorney General might be the one thing keeping him in the game. With the Dutton Ranch under siege from developers who'd love nothing more than to take over their prized land, Jamie's political clout could be the key to fending off this looming threat. His legal expertise gives him a unique edge. Jamie Dutton knows the ins and outs of Montana's legal system better than anyone else in the Dutton family. His deep understanding of the law, developed over years of practice as a skilled attorney, gives him an edge that is hard to gloss over, despite his controversial past. His history of betrayal, particularly when he made the decision to betray his father by seeking out his biological father's influence and supporting the interests of powerful developers, hasn't exactly earned him a spot in the family's inner circle. Still, the Duttons can't afford to ignore Jamie's potential value. The ranch, a cornerstone of their family legacy, is under constant threat from outside forces, corporate developers, land-hungry businessmen, and political elites eager to stake their claim on the land. And despite his betrayal, Jamie holds a powerful position in the state government, which could make all the difference in the Duttons' battle to protect their land. He knows how to navigate the legal and political systems that often stand between the ranch and its enemies. Jamie's knowledge and resources might be the Duttons' best shot at securing their future, but it comes with a high personal price. But here's the catch. He has spent years cultivating connections with powerful figures who have supported his political career, and walking away from them isn't easy. It's not just a matter of professional loyalty. It's a matter of personal survival. He's tied into deals that have made him wealthier, more influential, and seemingly untouchable in the world of Montana politics. Turning his back on those interests could risk everything he's worked for, both politically and professionally. However, this is more than just a legal battle for Jamie. It's a chance to redefine his place in the Dutton dynasty. If he can pull off a win for the ranch, it might be enough to thaw some of the ice with Casey and maybe someday Beth. It's a long shot, but in the ruthless world of Yellowstone, even the smallest victory can change the tide. But Jamie's redemption could also extend to the vengeance he owes his father's murderers. The mystery surrounding John's assassination attempt in Season 5 creates an opportunity for Jamie to seek justice and punish those responsible. Seeking justice for John's near death would send a clear message. Jamie is willing to fight for his family, no matter the cost. It would not only show his dedication to the Dutton legacy, but also his personal transformation, moving from from a man of self-interest to someone committed to righting the wrongs of his past. By avenging John's death and taking down the people responsible, Jamie would be proving that he can not only protect the family's legacy, but also preserve the honor that has been tarnished by his own mistakes. However, even if Jamie somehow manages to redeem himself by saving the ranch and avenging John's death, his redemption might come at a far steeper price than Jamie ever anticipated. Jamie might sacrifice himself. Beth's hatred for Jamie runs deep, and it's not just about the here and now. It's years of betrayal, manipulation, and personal pain stacked on top of each other. From the earlier seasons, her disdain for him has been clear, but his role in John's political ousting and the fallout that followed has only made things worse. It's not just anger for Beth. It feels like something much deeper. She blames Jamie for contributing to their father's downfall, and her vow to unalive him, made with a chilling conviction, seems like a promise she's unlikely to let go of. Beth Dutton doesn't make idle threats, and honestly, no one should be surprised. Beth has always been the fiercest Dutton, unflinching in her loyalty to her father and their family's legacy. Over the seasons of Yellowstone, she's proven time and again that she'll do whatever it takes to protect the ranch, even if it means resorting to violence. For Beth, actions aren't just about fixing problems. They're about making people pay for the pain they've caused. And when it comes to Jamie, no gesture seems big enough to erase the scars he's left behind. Given these dynamics, Jamie Dutton surviving the chaos of Yellowstone feels about as likely as Beth letting him off the hook. His sins have stacked up sky high, and the tension around his character has been simmering for far too long not to boil over. Redemption for Jamie would demand nothing short of a monumental sacrifice, and in storytelling terms, that usually comes with a steep price tag: his life. Yellowstone thrives on themes of loyalty, betrayal, and self-sacrifice, and Jamie's storyline seems destined to follow that path. If he were to give his life to protect the Dutton legacy, a ranch he spent half his time sabotaging, it would be a poetic, if tragic, way to close his chapter. It would prove in the most irreversible way that Jamie is capable of loyalty, even if it's a little late to the party. For Beth, though, his death, on her terms or not, sure, she's vowed to unalive him herself, but if Jamie goes out as a martyr for the family, it might just rob her of the satisfaction of delivering the final blow. Even so, it would achieve what she's wanted all along: the end of Jamie as a threat. Yellowstone has always been about the heavy price of loyalty, vengeance, and the ripple effects of one's choices, and Jamie's ultimate act could tie all those threads together. Sacrificing himself for the Duttons would be his way of saying, "Yeah, I messed up, but here's how I make it right." It'd be a move that finally shows he understands the chaos he's caused and is willing to do something selfless to protect the family. But come on, it's Yellowstone. Nothing's ever that simple. This is a show that thrives on shock value and tension. So even if Jamie does the noble thing, there's always the looming question: what about Beth? Beth's rage toward Jamie isn't just a passing grudge, it's bone deep. Even if Jamie lays down his life for the family, Beth might not see it as redemption. She could still take matters into her own hands, delivering the kind of justice only she believes is fitting. She might just unalive Jamie in the end. As is painstakingly obvious in the show, the feud between Beth and Jamie Dutton has been relentless, cold, brutal, and impossible to ignore. It's a cocktail of past traumas, betrayals, and vengeance, shaken and served with a generous side of pure hatred. And as Yellowstone barrels towards its conclusion, it feels more and more like Jamie's days are numbered, possibly by Beth's own hand. Let's not forget, Beth isn't just about angry words and icy glares. She's a walking, talking weapon for the Dutton legacy, doing whatever it takes: manipulation, threats, or downright violence to protect her family and the ranch. Jamie's betrayal? That's the kind of crime Beth's moral code doesn't just punish, it annihilates. Jamie's actions cut to the heart of everything she stands for, and every interaction between them has felt like a countdown to disaster. Her promise to finish him off is the culmination of years of pain and fury, bubbling under the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to explode. The Season 5 Part 1 finale didn't spell out Jamie's fate, but the writing is on the wall. Whether through Beth's cold, calculated vengeance or some unexpected twist, it's hard to imagine a scenario where both Dutton siblings walk away from this alive. You see, in her eyes, Jamie didn't just help impeach their father with Sarah's aid. He continuously put the Duttons in harm's way, all while trying to play both sides of the fence, desperately seeking approval from John and his family. And Beth, she's not about to let Jamie's selfishness slide. Their relationship was never one built on love, but on bitter resentment and years of unresolved trauma. It's no surprise that things hit a breaking point when Jamie forced Beth to have an abortion in an earlier season. That moment wasn't just a turning point in their relationship, it was the moment Beth truly saw Jamie as both a traitor and a monster. So when the final episodes roll around and Jamie might try to redeem himself, whether by saving the ranch, serving up justice, or maybe even offering the ultimate sacrifice, don't hold your breath for Beth to suddenly soften. Her hatred is rooted in too much pain and history. Even if Jamie throws everything he has into saving the Dutton legacy, it's hard to see how that could erase years of hurt in Beth's eyes. If the show goes in that direction, it wouldn't just be about settling old scores, it would be the ultimate power move. For Beth, finishing off Jamie wouldn't just be revenge for his long list of sins, it would be her way of reclaiming control, finally taking the reins in the toxic, power-laden world of the Dutton family. This isn't too far-fetched to imagine, considering Beth's been fighting for power her whole life. Whether she's manipulating people, using violence, or calling out her own family, she's always played the game on her own terms. But with Jamie in the picture, she's never quite been able to fully move forward. The weight of his betrayal, the trauma he caused, and the pain of their toxic relationship have kept her from fully embracing her power. If Beth were to unalive Jamie, it would not only serve as a brutal end to their feud, it would allow her to take control of her own narrative, freeing her from the ghosts of the past and setting her up for whatever comes next in the Yellowstone universe. And let's talk about closure. From a storytelling standpoint, this would close one of the series' most emotionally charged and devastating rivalries. It would be a tragic yet fitting end for both characters. For Beth, it's a cathartic release, a chance to finally lay down her burden of vengeance. And for Jamie, it would be the ultimate price to pay for a lifetime of mistakes. If Jamie were to meet his end at Beth's hands, it wouldn't just be a shocking moment, it would be the ultimate symbol of the Dutton family's fractured legacy. Sure, it would be the literal end of Jamie's life, but it would also represent the emotional and psychological death of his place within the family. After years of fighting for approval, clawing for any scrap of affection from John or his siblings, Jamie's tragic arc would culminate in the ultimate betrayal, his own sister ending him. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on Jamie's redemption arc, Yellowstone finale.